Welcome back to the channel Spain Unlocked. My name is Anna and it's time for latest Spanish news update. Do foreigners who decide to relocate to Spain actually live out of the social security and different types of governmental payments? Is it actually true what some people say? You will be shocked. These streets are asking when will finally the property price start to decrease, or if it's actually going to be happening anytime soon. Are we in an authentic economic bubble like in 2027, 2028, when it just exploded in our faces? Spanish healthcare is preparing for giant manifestations and protests starting from this second half of September. What is going on? What is the thing that they are asking for in order to avoid it? And if it's actually fair or not. All these news and more information in today's latest Spain news update. If you want to know more, simply stay tuned up until the end. Let's begin. First of all, let's talk about the foreigners in Spain, those who decide to relocate, to move to Spain and live here on a permanent basis. A lot of people, especially Spanish or Spanish who are outside of Spain normally, criticize foreigners, myself included, who decided to search for a better life or simply wanted to live in a better climate, quality country with nice quality food, a safe country to be, and give a better future for their family, kids, and for themselves. And people do state sometimes that foreigners come here and they simply leech off the Spanish government. They leech off the social security from the food bank, the Red Cross, the church, and all the kind of free help that they can get. And whilst in some cases it might be true, especially talking about illegal immigration, the one that comes with boats to Spain, in this case, that is kind of true because they are giving them money to stay here. If they go to school, there's extra money. They live rent free. They have breakfast, lunch, and dinner served. They have clothes. Everything that they need is here. But people who are deciding to come here illegally, no one's gifting anything to anyone whatsoever. And it's all the other way around, actually. Here on the screen, you have the data for this past June's month, 2025. And it clearly shows, by the way, this can be seen in the INE, which is the National Institute of Statistics of Spain. This is where this information is usually published. And in June, we've had more than 25,180 new registered foreigners in the Spanish Social Security, which means that these people either decided to work by themselves as self-employed, or they found a job and are working for someone else in any kind of company. Plus, by now, we already have more than 3,100,000 people, foreigners, once again, not Spanish, working in Spain. More than 3 million. This is literally bigger than my home country, Lithuania, because there's slightly less than 3 million people there living. More than that. And all of these are foreign residents living and working here in Spain. And actually, every one of every 7 people who work here are international residents. The vast majority of these are from outside of the European Union, which is around 69%, and 31% are the European Union residents. So as you can see, there's plenty of foreign residents who come here, who decide to integrate into the society, who either build their own business or decide to work for someone else. There's plenty of professions who do so, and some of these are here on the screen as well. First of all, and the most typical professions where people tend to work whenever they relocate here are transportation, the water supply, agriculture, construction, industry, administrative work of different kinds in different types of sectors, and also high value works. For example, lawyers, or gestor, which is a person who also have studied for it, who has a master's degree a lot of the time, who's been legally registered to perform this type of work. It's kind of like a lawyer, but it is it is working in broader fields, let's say like this. Plus obviously there's architects, there's IT specialists, there's even doctors who approve their diploma here in Spain and are able to work in our country. So all these are like higher value professions that are also, people are relocating here with very, very nice professions. But because they want a quality of life, they're coming here to Spain. And sometimes they start from scratch. Sometimes they just wait until their diploma is going to be confirmed and they will be able to work by their profession as they used to do back home. There's psychologists, there's teachers, a little bit of everything. So these typical words, of people on the streets who say, oh, they're foreigners, they don't do anything here in Spain, they don't pay their taxes. It is not true at all. A lot of the times, more than 3 million of foreigners actually do it every single month. And it's a lot of taxes that we pay here in Spain. So it's exactly the opposite of what a lot of people do think about those who decide to relocate here to our sunny country. Let's continue with the news number 2, and it is about what's spreading on the streets. The news and the talks about properties do not stop and probably will not stop for a long time still, because this is a very latent, very alive, pretty much, problem and a very important issue that Spain needs to fix ASAP. However, it's not the case just yet. We've had a lot of problems with properties, as you know, so far, at least in coastal areas, most touristic areas. There's a giant issue with long-term rent. The supply and demand is absolutely bizarre. The difference that we have right now. So there is a huge, huge, massive demand, and the offer, the supply is really, really small, especially in summer months. It doesn't mean that it's impossible to find a property. No, it doesn't. You can still find a property. However, the price is going to be slightly higher than it used to be like 3, 4 years ago. That is the difference. And also, the issue is that local families who have here wages, like Spanish wages, Spanish salaries, cannot afford to live where they were living before. For example, Benidorm town, you'll know probably what it is. Benidorm town is a coastal touristic city whole year long. It has an incredible quality of life. Many people come here not only as tourists, but decide to relocate eventually. And all this area is the most expensive of Alicante region, Alicante province as per se. And one of the top most expensive in Valencian community, I must say. So here, if you could easily rent something for 400, 500 euros a month and be comfortable, nowadays it's closer to 900 euros. That is the difference. And salaries didn't rise with the same temp. So people cannot afford it any longer. This is the main issue. And also many of the properties are on touristic rent, which makes it even worse, or were on sale and now are like second residence, like holiday vacational homes for some people, or just their usual legal residence. So there's way less rentals, and property prices also were rising because Spanish cannot afford it, but there is a market who can, which are foreign people, those who are coming from abroad. Those who have higher salaries, higher pensions, those who had their own property back home decided to sell it. And all this capital that they have, they're bringing it to Spain to invest in a brand new property. And the market knows that there are people who are able to pay for it. And all the brand new constructions here, all of these are mostly targeted to either people from Madrid, Barcelona, Valencia with really high income, or for international future residents. It is what it is. It doesn't mean that we are in a bubble right now as the previous economic crisis. The answer is no. We absolutely agree with all the economic experts here, economy experts in Spain, that do actually say that there was a huge issue back in 2000s, which was the credit. The credit was given here in Spain to everyone and everything. However, afterwards, people accumulated so much they were not able to afford to pay for it, and that's when the market collapsed between amongst other things. However, this was the main reason, the credit and debt that people have. Nowadays, the debt ratio is way, way lower here in Spain, luckily to us. And also, the credit is not as affordable at all. Trust me. In Spain, it is very difficult to get a home because you have to usually banks cover along around 80-90 tops percent, unless you're really young and you have a good history and you know someone in the bank. They might cover with some national credit unions up to 100%, but that is a rare case, honestly, and you have to wait a long time for it. So usually you should have at least like 10 plus another 12% for your properties. By the way, if you want to know how the property purchase project and a plan looks like, actually, what are the steps to purchase a property in Spain, we have a separate video for you here on the channel. Just search it in our playlist, Property Purchase in Spain, and it will pop up immediately. So what happens is that people cannot get credits and mortgages that easily any longer, which means that we are not in the bubble situation. But it is true that everything is getting more expensive year by year. So those who have been thinking for a while on purchasing a property are trying to do their best to save up some money and purchase it right now, or at least as soon as possible, because they know that the prices will keep rising. And they know that if now they can hardly afford something good, or at least something that they would like to consider as their property, when time passes, there's going to be even less chance to be able to afford the same place for the same amount of money, because the value increases, and it does it quite fast, especially in our coastal area. Now let's continue with the last news, and it is about the healthcare in Spain. You all know that we do have two types of healthcare. One is a public healthcare system, which is Social Security, and then we have a private healthcare, which is basically done with private health insurance, which we can also help you with here on the channel. Don't forget that in our migration consulting company and on our official website here, or you can just contact us by email or WhatsApp, we do have plenty of services, which is literally everything you need to relocate to Spain. We are also working on a brand new menu part, which is properties. There, shortly, you will be able to see brand newly built properties and also secondhand ones. So you can purchase a property, you can rent these, and you can also do all the necessary services to start your life in Spain stress-free completely, or at least as less as it is humanly possible. And you can also contact us for the private health insurance if you need it, even for your pets, dental, travel one, whichever you need. We are here for you guys, for our subscribers and everyone who are watching us. So in general, this whole healthcare issue, private healthcare is not such a big issue nowadays, which is why a lot of people have it, but public healthcare is slightly different. National healthcare actually is trying to go on strike because they are not really happy about the situation. Obviously, you know what is going on from our previous videos about the national public healthcare system, about the private one and the differences between them. But basically, people are not really happy about how it works because before they can even get to a specialist, it's going to be a long wait. Once they get there, it's fine already, and 80% are actually happy with the service that they receive, which is quite a lot. And it is a good news. They work really well in extreme cases, in urgent cases, and in serious treatments, with some innovative treatments as well. But the wait is absolutely bizarre, which is why a lot of people think it needs changes. But from the inside, the professionals also feel, the doctors, nurses, etc., all the healthcare workers also feel like it needs a giant change. They are working a lot of extra hours, and it's dangerous both for their health and also for the health of the patients, because the attention is not the same as it used to be. And after working 10 hours or 12-hour shift, it is really easy to actually miss some important details whenever you feel and see if a person needs to be treated from one thing or the other, or correct doses, etc., calculations. It is very hard to stay concentrated for everyone, especially doctors should not be working such a long shift. And what they are asking is to be able to retire slightly earlier without cutting out their pension. So basically, getting 100% worth of their pension, even if they decide to retire earlier than it should be. And those who decide to still work have some kind of bonuses or a percentage to their pension, etc., to incentivize in some way for those who still decide to do so. The truth is that nowadays a lot of doctors work up until they're 70, simply because, well, we don't have any doctors any longer. There are some new generations, that's true, but it's nearly not enough. That the quantity that we should be having of doctors in Spain. So all this, the conditions and quality on their workplaces as well. They work too much, too many hours, and they're asking to lower the hours to 35 hours a week. The salaries and the professional categories between the doctors, they want to have better system, like a better table, like a graph, a chart of different types of doctors and which kind of services they do. You know that it's not the same. They're working in an emergency department as working as a general practitioner in a consultation, right? Or being a surgeon, and the one who's just checking on patients' health. So basically, all these doctors are getting different types of income and different types of extras in the public healthcare. So they want these to be slightly higher because they feel like it's not worth what they are doing, the salaries that they are getting. And these are not near high as you can think. Trust me, way more countries outside Spain do have way higher salaries for doctors and healthcare specialists than here in Spain we have. It is true that those countries also might have a higher cost of living or higher, in general, maybe rentals or food or insurances, but still, there they receive higher salaries and are more valued and have better conditions, which is why a lot of specialists from Spain and Spanish doctors actually decide to relocate to another country to at least work these early times, get some experience, have a nice salary, try to save up, and then return to Spain, be able to afford a nice home, get it without a mortgage, and just to have a little bit of money saved up somewhere on the outside, and then continue to work here in Spain. That is what's going on. And if they say, the healthcare says that if they won't receive any kind of improvements for their work positions, they will go on strikes and manifestations starting from the second half of September and October month as well. So we will see how it goes here in Spain. Many sectors and professions, the only way of getting something that they need, sadly, and for some reason, is only to go on strike. So we'll see how it goes. It is a very old problem, almost generational problem, that's been here for decades and decades. Hopefully it's going to be solved soon, but I do feel like it's very difficult because we do have an authentic lack of specialists, and by decreasing hours, there's a need even more in additional specialists, which is what Spain simply doesn't have. Thank you for accompanying us in today's Spain Unlocked latest news update. We wish you a lovely day, and we'll see you here on the channel this upcoming Saturday with a brand new video. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more. Goodbye.